On today's episode, we had Jaya come on. It's been a while since I released my last podcast, but this podcast is definitely worth a wait. Jaya is an energy healer and has a lot of wisdom to share, and that. So he does that at our place in Nambour. I'll link up all the stuff below, and make sure you follow him on Instagram and Facebook at JB Healing. I'll link that below too. And also too, I had at the same time I had a Healy connected to me. So, that kind of bases like all your chakras and all that kind of stuff, and, helps to level them out too, which is kind of cool. So, make sure you check his workout is phenomenal. Best way to explain it. And he has a lot of wisdom to share too. And also, before we jump into today's episode, make sure you, not make sure, but to help to support the podcast a little extra, jump over to Studio Mindfulness. Stuff that up. Patreon.com/Studio Mindfulness. And yeah, every little bit helps. You get a few extra goodies here and there. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Cheers, guys.
Dude, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
That's all good, man. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a really good healing by your energy healing and that. And so I thought I'll get you on and I guess dive deep into it, because it's something that I guess I talk about with a lot of people, but don't really talk about it on camera too much. Yeah. But so I guess to start off with, we'll get you to explain a little bit about your story and what you do and all that.
Yeah. So, as you know, I'm an energy healer. I've been doing it for the better part of a decade. It's pretty much all I know now. It's a massive part of my life. Energy healing is something that although I've been doing for a long time, I've known a lot more about energy than I realised back when I was young, So, those feelings of never fitting in, and, you hear that a lot.
I understand the feelings of not fitting in and that, because there's a lot of I guess when I was younger too, it's I had that feeling that I was meant to do something bigger, or didn't fit into school right and didn't make a lot of sense in that.
Yeah, but to me, I was always I was well liked in school and what have you, but I never really fit in with the group of boys in essence that you grow up with, I was definitely a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah.
And always had those feelings of doubts and insecurity, and didn't really know why. So throughout life, it had become apparent that I'd learnt why. And as soon as I could let go of the fact that I was never going to be like them, I then got to open up and really be myself in essence, and that's when I guess creative juices flow, and you take things to the next level, I guess. So more comfortable in your own skin, So
it's just it's crazy, because it's I guess you have all this society presses to be this certain way, to do these certain things, or as being a guy, you're going to be like this, you're going to have that certain job. And it's the same thing with women too, but it's we get pushed down these roads, and then some people deep down have a, I guess, bigger destiny than what society tells them to have. And you normally have, I guess, that little whisper in your ear saying, okay, it's not for you, or you just don't feel like this is right for you, and it kind of range of things. Because it's I've felt that in most of my jobs. It's oh, this is not my gift, this is not my thing, it's just a job.
Yeah, you do the job because, and I'm a prime example. I when I moved back from Scotland to Australia, one of my best mates got me a job as a broker. As a finance broker, and I thought that had a cool sounding title, and it's an adult job, so I'll do that. And I ended up just thinking, well, I don't know the first thing about being a finance broker, but I'll just fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
And then I've been doing it for 15 years, and it's, you know, you've definitely made it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I've achieved everything there, but it's just being a healer, nothing ever seems right anywhere else, like you said, you know. So, and that goes to, you know, any sort of fraction of your life, not just your job.
Yeah, because it's like I do feel the same too. Because it's like being very passionate about, I guess, a bunch of things, like especially with the personal development world.
Yeah, health and well-being. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's the thing that kind of sparks me. So when I talk to people, I'm very like one, I guess, dimension as they would call it. So like if you want to get me engaged to a conversation, it's like talk about that, and I'll chew your ear off kind of thing.
Yeah, because you're passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah. The key is passion. So, I'll, much like anyone else in life, go through different struggles in your life, right?
Yeah.
I had a situation, like I had at a time anxiety, depression, all that sort of stuff. My partner was the same, wasn't feeling great without getting into it too much.
Yeah.
And she was on some pretty heavy medication. I sent her to a healer. We just come across it. I'd never known anything about it. So, but we went to, well, she saw this healer, and just did what I thought was just magic. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So, and she come home and she slept for 2 days. So I could only wake her up to feed her. She literally just that energy shift in her. She slept for 2 days. When she woke up, she was off all medication. When you're not meant to do that, you're meant to wean yourself off or whatever. It could, because it's got pretty serious side effects. But she was completely off it, no side effects, and I was like, okay. And she's a completely different person, like the real her. So I thought, I've got to get me some of this, right? This woo-woo magic. So I went and had my session. I thought it was pretty cool, and she said, you know, you're a healer too, Jai. And I said, what are you talking about? And then she outlined different points in my life where I had healed both myself and people without knowing. I just thought it was normal. And I give you an example. My granddad, before I went to Scotland, he had whatever the last stage of cancer is before you clock out, is everywhere, is riddled, right? And I was pretty young, like 18, 19 or something. And so I had to go and say goodbye to him before I left, knowing that I'd never see him again, which is a huge thing for someone so young to go through. And anyway, when I moved to Scotland, I prayed every night, and I'm not a religious person. I'm the last person to be religious. But I prayed. I didn't know who I was praying to: God, universe, source, whatever. And just that you know, the universe would help him. And he went in for his checkup, and then he had no cancer, just completely gone. So I got to see him for years and years after. I lived in Scotland for ages, come back and still got to see him for a long time. But I just thought that was normal. It's just what happened, and pointed out to me that it's not normal. So this lady said, will you do this Reiki course? And I'm like, yeah, still thinking that she's just trying to push a sales term on me. But I did it anyway, and did really well. And in the Reiki attunement, I don't know if you've ever heard of people having Reiki attunements, but it just opens up your chakras to universal energy, and I had basically pins and needles down both my arms that felt like lightning for the next 3 months. Like, it was just constant. I had to keep trying to shake it off, just that much energy. So yeah, that was my beginning of actually being a healer, as they say. And Reiki was the beginning of that, and I owe a lot to Reiki because of that. So
yeah, it's crazy when you first get into it, because it's like, you know, it's classified as woohoo, it's out of the normal, so you feel so odd for doing it. Like I remember when I first started opening up about, I guess, some of the stuff, like on my gifts and that I felt really odd, and there was a lot of backlash, I guess, a few in there.
But it's funny that you say it felt really odd, but to me it felt right. Because it's, you know, your brain can consider it to be whatever it needs to be, but it's how it feels in your gut.
So,
and which is why gut health's so important. But it felt right. Everything felt right. You know, I didn't sit there going, oh, what if I'm not? I just sat there and went, this feels good. So, and that's basically the direction I've gone in every moment of my life. If it feels right, then you got to do it. If it makes you feel lighter, then it's the right path. If it makes you feel heavier and denser, it's the wrong path.
I definitely agree with that, and it's something that, especially this year, I'm starting to get more in tune with. And I've started to notice a lot of things that make me feel lighter and things that make me feel denser, and I'm starting to try, like, I guess the best way to explain, the body knows what's right for you, or your soul knows what's right for you, and your soul will do things to you to make sure you go on that right path.
That's right. Your brain, however, doesn't, because it will, you'll relate to the past, or think about the future, and when you think about the future, you're just relating to bringing past experiences to relate that, and there comes your fears and anxieties and whatever. If you live in fear, you're never going to do anything in your life. You might as well just stay home. But your gut is always right. 100%. So the more people that can learn to live just by listening to their gut, the better.
100% agree with that. Because it's, I guess, because the mind, or the conscious mind, that just wants to keep you safe. So it's gonna, the one thing I guess it does, it's like it tries to predict the future, and it does a terrible job at that.
Absolutely. Because as I said, it relates to the past. All you can ever draw on is your past experiences. That's how your thoughts are created. So, every image of the future is really not real. It's just you relating to your past. That's it. So, and the future doesn't matter. No, and the past certainly doesn't matter. It's done with. All that matters is right now, as you know, as I've spoke to you about. It's whatever's happening in the present. And nothing's wrong ever in the present, right?
That's so true. Because it's like the future is pretty much a construct of an illusion, right?
Correct.
That we create in our heads.
Correct.
And like, I guess when it comes to happiness and stuff, the only chance you have to be happy is right in this moment. Kind of thing.
Correct, And as I said, in this moment, nothing is wrong. Like, no matter what anxiety you had, no matter what depression, no matter what problems you had in the past, even 5 minutes ago, right now, there's nothing wrong. You know what I mean? Everything's fine. Right now, the universe is working in your favor. And it's just changing your mindset, you know, and just following your gut. And then by doing that, you stop being the victim of life and you start being the creator of life. That's not going to stop negative things happening, but you won't consume yourself with those negative issues. Does that make sense? So it won't be, this has happened to me, this is horrible, well, why does it always happen to me? It'll be like, there's an issue. And the issue goes. Does that make sense?
Because like issues aren't generally issues, they're generally opportunities that come up to you know, appear in your life. And there's like a quote that I come by, it's like, you know, problems in your life help to create awakening for yourself in life.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And life's about learning. There's no two ways around it. You need to be learning as much as possible. If you don't learn, you have to go and do the whole thing again. So why not just learn as much as you can? And it's a bright future when you do so.
Even to like get in really like the scientific stuff with learning and that, it's like the brain starts slowing down once it stops learning. And then you start kind of having a bunch of other problems and stuff like that, especially when you get into, you know, 50s, 60s. These things start showing up when you're on constant autopilot.
That's exactly right, but it's so gradual. You know, that you're not going to know, but that's the reason why, unless you come to someone like me or a healer or whatever that can help you through that. You just think that suddenly you've got a heart issue, or suddenly, but not realizing that you've manifested that by your past experiences, not dealing with those traumas.
Because a lot of, I guess, health issues, we should say, like I've heard this on a documentary called, I think it's Heal, and it's like 90% of our, I guess, health issues are from emotions, building up trauma, and just not releasing it. Because even from a young age, we get taught to bottle it up.
Yeah, exactly. Especially blokes. Yeah, that definitely taught to bottle it up. But it's not just trauma from early childhood, but it is majorly that. It's also trauma from past lives. Because as I said, you need to do the whole lot again if you don't learn your lesson. So, it's helping to deal with that trauma, you know. Now that trauma for a child might be something so insignificant from our point of view, but a major thing for that child. And I'll give you an example. I think we've spoke about this before, but imagine that you've got remember back in the day where you had your parents used to hang out in a room, and the parents used to hang out in a separate room. Now imagine that child walks into the parents' room, and the parents go, no, go back to your to your kids and play. Pretty innocuous situation, right? It's nothing. But maybe that kid in that moment, that present moment, felt feelings of abandonment, disconnect from, not good enough to be there, that sort of thing. And those creates those little traumas. That's what I mean. So traumas doesn't necessarily need to be car accidents or whatever, you know, it's literal things like that, emotional trauma. Now that little point in life could have shaped that whole little kid's future. That they're always that type of person who has feelings of abandonment, feelings of loss, and subsequently never has the right partner or whatever, and keeps going through those cycles. Just because something so frivolous as that. So it's my job to help get rid of those traumas.
Yeah, because it's great that you speak into that, because like early childhood, especially until about, I think it's 7 or 8, you're in a state of egocentric, so then everything that's happening around you, you absorb in, everything's your fault kind of thing. So I guess if your parents are arguing, you think it's your fault. If your parents are laughing, you think you're funny. So we're absorbing everything during that.
Absolutely, all sponges. It's a crazy world.
It's definitely, especially because we don't, I guess, get taught about any of this, how we work, or how energy works and all that thing. Because I guess it's like we kind of, I guess in modern society, we kind of know a lot of, I guess, quantum physics and stuff like that.
Exactly. So quantum physics is never going to be taught in school. It's one of those things. And it's mostly because most people just don't know enough about quantum physics to be able to do it, and myself included. So because I didn't go through and be taught that. So and there's a lot to do with quantum physics that a child is never going to know. But you're absolutely right. From kindergarten, basically, it should be taught, not necessarily quantum physics, but energy. Meditation, how to control your thoughts, how to control your future, basically, how to manifest. Those are real life things that need to be taught, because you don't want to get to 50 and then look back and go, oh man, I missed out on so much because I didn't know these things that I've happened to stumble across. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you see that quite often. Like you see people reach that, like, I guess, midlife crisis, and a lot of the time people go back to what they're doing after the midlife crisis kind of thing. They don't want to explore, or they go, they start to get a bit of help when it gets too hard. So then, and it's crazy too, because each side of the pitch is hard, right? Doing nothing and then doing something. So I'm like, you may as well do something because it's hard, and and then doing nothing because you're going to suffer anyway.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, you suffer in your own head more than you can suffer through the actual experience of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like something I experienced it just over the weekend. It's like because I had a lot of resistance because I did, I guess, timeline therapy and primal screaming. It's like my body just didn't want to do it, and then I kind of like surrendered and realized, hey, if I don't process this now, this is going to come up later in something else.
And it takes a lot for people to surrender. It's like the ego has been ingrained. It's ego is part of being human. So, but it's been ingrained in us for a long time, and it's hard to be able to let go of that. So that's why when I'm with energy healing clients, one of the first things I say to them is that you need to make a decision to let go, allow, and surrender. And when you put that out to the universe is that literal, so it helps you to let go, allow, and surrender. And that makes the whole process infinitely easier. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you just like let things, flow, let things be.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is a really good thing I heard from a kinesiologist. Because like someone brought up to me a couple of months ago, what's your how to your why kind of thing. And he goes, don't worry about the how, just focus on the why. And then the things will fall into place kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's the thing about manifesting. So if you're welcome to ask for whatever you want. You can try and vibrate at that frequency to bring it here sooner. But the issue that people have with manifesting is the first hurdle that comes up between then and then, they go like, nah, this is not what I signed up for. But you can't focus on the why. It's not up to you. The how, sorry. It's not up to you. You're welcome to manifest whatever you want, but how you get there, you can't control that.
No.
So, and that's what a lot of this letting go is associated with, because you want the life that you want, you want the whatever you feel like you need. But yeah, most people at the first hurdle, look, I want $1 billion, and then you lose your job, and you're like, what? Oh my God, this manifesting is bullshit.
Yeah.
Little did they know that to get that $1 billion, you need to let go of that job and start a new job and probably let go of that one. And then you might need to lose your house to get a whatever, you know what I mean? And you run into this person at this specific time.
Yeah.
And, you can't focus on the how.
I'm glad that you spoke into that, because that's something, I guess, over the last week that I've been trying to let go of, because I guess my mind's going like 100 miles an hour, because I'm trying to step into, I guess, more of my kind of forte, because I want to do a lot of work around mindset and that.
Yeah.
And I actually did put it out there. I'm like, I do want to take a step back from, full-time work and do a couple of days so I can actually focus on it.
Yeah.
And then the mind starts going 100 miles an hour. It's like, oh, this is not comfortable, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then, like this last week, I'm like, okay, this is okay. This is going to work out as planned. A few things that happened to me over the last week that have, signaled that's going the right way. And I just had to allow myself to sit down and surrender.
Yeah, look for the signs, but just trust and just let go of anything that's going to be, because those issues are in your head. Nobody else is throwing those issues at you. They're all just in your head.
Yeah.
So the thing with manifesting is you can think about it in the future, but the trick is you've got to be grateful for already having that.
Yeah.
So you can think about how your beautiful picture is going to look that you've created in your head. Yeah. How you're feeling. Hold that vibration of how you're feeling. To feel that vibration, how you would feel, and be grateful for that experience. Yeah. And then let go of anything in between that. Because you'll get there. The universe is that literal, but you've just got to
surrender.
Yeah, surrender, and just be passionate about it. So if it's owning a house, you just be passionate, because that passion holds its own frequency, and that'll get it to you quicker.
Because the more passionate you're about something, I guess the right people you attract into your life, and all this range of things that I guess we could explain, kind of thing. And it's just when you are taking those steps forward, it's crazy how many things when you actually surrender start happening quicker and quicker, and you're just like, whoa. And instead of like, I guess, you know, you get 9 months down the track and you look back, oh, that's how that all happened. You kind of can see it in the moment. Okay, that's how it's going to play out, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just trusting your gut the whole time, like through that manifestation in the how. You have to trust your gut. You can't just think really. You can't. You just got to go with the flow.
Yeah.
And it'll happen. The doors will open for you, and you just got to trust it. So otherwise, because you've manifested, same as me, anyone, we've manifested every single thing in our lives through some capacity.
Yeah.
So it's not like we don't know how to do it. We just do it.
Yeah.
We manifest everything.
Yeah.
So it's literally just letting go and letting it flow.
Because I definitely agree with that, because a lot of the time is that, I guess, our inner world projects out onto our outer world. So we are technically manifested from in out, because we only can see, I guess, what's going on inside of us out in the real world.
Absolutely. I've done a lot of manifesting of late, especially around full moons and stuff, and with a lot of people, and their lives have changed. These are people that have gone from being, this is in conjunction with healing, gone from being really dark, depressed victims to being absolutely amazing versions of themselves in realistically a short amount of time. I'm talking a couple of months, 3 months maybe, that they don't even recognize their past version of themselves. It's that sort of different vibration. You know what I mean? So it's really humbling to see that I can be helping so many people, and I get so much gratitude daily. You know, so many emails and texts saying thank you. Like that's what I do it for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do it to help people, and in turn it helps myself.
I definitely agree with that, because that's the reason why I guess I do what I do. It's not because of create this big thing. It's like for those little messages you get here and there, that's the most important.
Yeah, those little messages tell you to keep going. But there was a time where I didn't want to be a healer. I wanted to do my own thing. But I just kept getting dragged back. There's nothing I can do, because we've all signed soul contracts before we even got here. So, you know, it could look like something else, but it's coming straight back. So either way, you're going to get there.
I definitely agree. We definitely signed something.
Yeah. And
But to wrap it up on this question, man, what is the legacy you want to create?
Oh, that's a good question. So I want everyone in the world to realize that the universe is always working in their favor and is never against them. Even when the perceived bad things happen, they are only learning experiences, and we all grow from it. We've all signed up for this. There's a really bright future very soon for everyone, but just know that the universe is always working in your favour. And let the rest flow.
Yeah, definitely agree. That's a powerful one. That's awesome. Thanks heaps for coming on,
dude,
man.
No worries at all. No worries. Thanks for having me.
It's a good man.
For tuning in today's podcast, guys. I just want to put a quick thing out there. I am currently doing a online one-on-one course for your mental well-being, so you can check that out at mitchellcrocker.com/courses, and all the rest of the information there. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me on any of my socials or email, which is on the website too. And also to tell me what you thought of the podcast, give us a like, so forth. And if you think this podcast will add some value to a friend, share it with them. But thank you for tuning in today, guys. Very much appreciated.